LEGO is in a weird place at the moment, and probably nothing epitomizes this phenomenon better than LEGO Marvel. Despite being bigger than ever before, the theme is not nearly as beloved anymore as it was a few years ago. Today I will tell you how LEGO Marvel is suffocating under its own success and how complacency is exerting a detrimental effect on this theme's survival. Of course, tell me what you think about the current state of LEGO Marvel in the comments, strap in and let's get into it. Almost 2 years ago I made a video titled "Is LEGO DC Dead?" Now gladly, LEGO Marvel's current situation isn't nearly as dire as LEGO DC's was or is. In 2024, for example, LEGO DC as a theme produced 6 retail sets, while Marvel on the other hand put out an astonishing 26 sets. But what if I told you that that's not a good thing for LEGO Marvel as a theme either? You see, Marvel has never been a small theme, but it's still limited sized and in the past allowed for quality over quantity approach. I obviously don't want to imply that just any set will get passed into production nowadays, and I sure as hell don't want to say that Marvel didn't have any bad sets in the past, but the quantity of mediocre/repetitive sets has definitely increased. Just to give you a rough idea of how insane this expansion of the theme has become since 2021, let me ask you how many Marvel sets LEGO has released between 2012 and 2020. If your answer's in the ballpark of around 100, I'll give it to you. There have been roughly 109 retail LEGO Marvel sets which have been released from 2012 to 2020. This number isn't the most exact and excludes Brickheads and other sets from outside themes, but it's a rough count. Would you now like to guess how many sets there have been in the time span of 2021 to 2024, less than half of the 9-year space that gave us 109 sets already? The answer is 114. That is more sets in 4 years than in the 9 that predate them. Combine this with the extreme price increases, which have hit Marvel particularly hard. I'd recommend you check out either my review of the Captain America vs. Red Hulk battle or my video on LEGO's price increases for more on that, and suddenly it becomes nearly impossible for any fan to collect Marvel sets to the same extent as before. Now, this extreme expansion will have 1,000 different factors to explain it, but one can be pinpointed very clearly, being the Infinity Saga. I remember the release of the Infinity Saga in 2021 and how great of a year that was in general for LEGO Marvel. Now it is 4 years later though, and we are somehow still getting Infinity Saga sets while newer movies go nearly empty. LEGO's reliance on certain movies of the Infinity Saga, and let's just call it by name, complacency around this topic, is one of the reasons why the theme is struggling the way it is at the moment. I want to give an example of just how extreme this phenomenon has become in the last 5 years. Since 2020, there have been a bit more than a dozen MCU movies in the Multiverse Saga, resulting in 29 sets and 2 CMFs which were obviously based on Marvel's Disney Plus shows. In that same time frame, there were more than 38 MCU sets which were aimed at the Infinity Saga, a chapter of the MCU that's been done for more than half a decade now. 38 sets is an insane number, but could be partly justified if they were aimed at movies ignored by LEGO until now. But a staggering 22 sets, almost 60% of them, were based on Avengers films that have already received a combined 24 sets before 2020. Only 4 new movies finally got sets to accompany them, being Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Captain America the First Avenger, and Thor 1. This over-reliance on certain movies leads to complacency, which in turn yields a deterioration of quality and extreme repetitiveness in sets. Let's take a look at Avengers Endgame. Since 2019, there have been 6 sets to don some variation of the name Avengers Endgame Final Battle. 2019's Avengers Compound Battle was the original, succeeded by the updated Avengers Endgame Final Battle in 2021, during which the Sanctuary 2 Endgame Battle also was released. 2022 gave us the Endgame Battle minifigure pack, which was followed up by the Endgame Final Battle from 2023, and finally the Avengers Endgame Final Battle that was released in May of this year and is genuinely one of the worst Marvel sets of all time. Inaccurate/lazy figures, a poor build and an insane retail price make the set the epitome of all of LEGO Marvel's current struggles, and actually so bad that I wanted to review this set in the next video but decided against it because I'm not willing to spend any money whatsoever on a set like this. Other examples include Iron Man's Hall of Armor, which has been made 4 times in the last 6 years, or the Multiverse of Madness Doctor Strange minifigure, which has appeared again and again in sets in which it has no business being, one being this year's Avengers Endgame Final Battle. LEGO's not purely reliant on the MCU though when it comes to Marvel, and while that may sound positive, it leads to the theme falling into the same trap as LEGO DC did years ago. At some point, LEGO DC became LEGO Batman, and without the MCU, LEGO Marvel would start to look a lot more like LEGO Spider-Man. Excluding the Max subtheme, which also contributed heavily to the expansion of LEGO Marvel, there have been 32 Spider-Man sets since 2020. That is as many Spider-Man sets in 6 years as there were sets in the first 4 years of the entire Marvel theme. LEGO has become so complacent with its success through Infinity Saga and Spider-Man sets that they weren't forced to experiment and take some risks, which has brought the theme into the position it's currently in. Instead, LEGO has reverted to the introduction of more and more sublines within the theme, which reduce the number of playscale sets and bolster up the Marvel theme even more. In the past, LEGO Marvel had consistent sub-themes with a runtime of a couple of years, Mighty Micros being perhaps the most known. As of 2025 though, we don't just have one recurring sub-theme, we've got the mech armors, brick-built action figures, both of which have crept their way into regular sets as well, helmet and masks, and the new busts. I do think that playscale sets are a pillar of a successful theme, and we have seen a significant increase in sets that do not fit in this norm. It's not a terrible thing in general, and we see LEGO make more and more of these sets among all themes, but just to exemplify how crazy it has gotten with Marvel, from 2012 to 2020 there were 6 non-playscale sets. That is very little for 9 years, but since then, in the 5 years from 2021 to now, there have been 29 non-playscale sets, which is almost an entire year's worth of sets. So, with LEGO Marvel being spread pretty thin nowadays and an over-reliance on proven sub-themes, newly released movies are suffering the most right now. In all fairness, LEGO did get unlucky with quite a few of the newer MCU waves, but for others, it's just plainly bad set allocation. LEGO obviously didn't know beforehand that Eternals and Wakanda Forever, for example, would be critical or monetary flops, but they still did get 7 sets combined. On the other hand, Quantumania, as bad of a movie as it may have been, was the only movie to feature characters like MODOK or Kang, and what sets did we get for it? One construction figure. That's it, and it's by far not the most outrageous example. No Way Home only got one proper set before its release, and neither the Thunderbolts nor Deadpool and Wolverine received any tie-in sets. I understand that Deadpool 3 was R-rated, but an accompanying set that wouldn't have been based on the movie directly, as we've seen so often with superhero sets, could have been such an easy fix. The most egregious example of all has to be the Fantastic Four though. This is one of the most anticipated films of the MCU ever, bringing Marvel's first family back to the big screen, and to celebrate this monumental event, LEGO gave us one set. To reiterate, Eternals got 4 sets, Wakanda Forever received 3 sets, and Brave New World had 2 regular sets and a Brickhead's double pack to accompany it, while Fantastic Four only got a single 400-piece set with 4 minifigures. It's shameful if you ask me, and while we're on the topic, I know it's not Marvel, but the fact that Superman didn't get any sets is actually fucking insane to me. So many sets could have been made from that movie, but LEGO just went, sorry, best we can do is a mech, which will be piloted by Superman though, because that makes so much sense. But as I mentioned, the situation isn't as dire as with DC, and there are positive and bright spots with the current situation of LEGO Marvel too. For example, most of the new X-Men sets have been fairly good, and it's a treat to finally get new sets from that IP given how scarce it's been during the previous decade. Adding on to that, all of the Marvel CMFs were really good. In my opinion, the first was better than the second one, but both featured some stellar figures, and I am super excited for the Spider-Verse series releasing later this year. Also, one subline that has been producing banger after banger is the jet/spaceship line of LEGO Marvel. You just can't beat sets like the Guardian Spaceship, which I reviewed by the way, the Avengers Quinjet, the Milano, or the new Age of Ultron Quinjet. If we keep getting sets like those, I'm happy. And lastly, despite the sets being outrageously expensive, I think the new Spider-Man sets are moving in the right direction, bringing the focus back to scenery builds and away from just vehicles, which are completely and utterly useless in the context of Spider-Man. They kind of remind me of a set like the original Daily Bugle from 2013, and who knows, perhaps we can get a set akin to the Web Warriors Ultimate Bridge Battle again at some point in the future. If you want to know why that set was so great, I recommend you check out my review of it on screen right now, but regardless, I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, goodbye.